Hello and welcome back to your series of video podcasts with our brilliant members all over the world. It's a great pleasure to be talking again with Tobias Schoenborn from Vision Point for Mobility. We've spoken quite a few times over the last year, and it's always great to catch up with you. So here we are. I was just writing a piece actually for the European saying, I didn't think in April 2021 we would still be talking about lockdowns, but we are. What's the situation right now in Germany?
We are still in lockdown since December or end of November last year, actually, and it's a pain. It's kind of now a bit lighter, the lockdown. Kind of shops are open. If you have like a negative COVID test, you can enter them. But it's changing all the time, and meaning, for example, here in Bonn, you cannot do shopping, but in the next city in Cologne, you are allowed. So nobody really knows anymore what's going on out there. It's, I don't know, just crazy.
That's very confusing. And forgive my ignorance of German geography, but are Bonn and Cologne in the same state? Is this a statewide rule?
They are in the same state, but even like on a local level, the government can decide on their own how to proceed.
That is very, very interesting. And is there anything about that that's imposed from some central government in Berlin, or is it really autonomous?
They try to put like rules in place which cover like all of Germany, but they are not so successful because every kind of county or state want to do their own thing. On top of that, elections will be in September, so
I know.
a lot of political decision making. But I'm not sure if it's a good or bad thing, or I think it's a bad thing. The government is actually deciding this week to put in place a new law, which allows them to do the regulation from top, for all of Germany. So if a certain level is reached, then kind of Berlin, the government of the country, they can decide how to proceed and not like on a local level anymore.
That's a huge change.
It is, and it's really a big impact in law, what they want to change. And it's quite scaring that nobody is really discussing about it, because it has a really deep impact on what we can do and what not. Like they can decide if they no, it's too bad. So tomorrow you are not allowed to go out anymore. So they can just decide it on a day-by-day basis.
And I mean, the whole notion of German administrative government is that you are autonomous as regions as well. So that's a big impact on that.
Yeah, not then anymore.
Anymore. Do you think it will go through?
I'm afraid, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that I have to say, I find that quite fascinating and quite scary. I mean, like you say, from your point of view, your local government can say, okay, cases right now in Bonn are such that you can use the stores. So just tell me, you mentioned there that you can go into a shop if you have a negative COVID test. Do you have to prove that?
Yes, like all around the places. Since March now, you can do kind of self-quick tests, with antigen tests. So after 10 or 15 minutes, you get the results. And if you go to kind of this public test center, you get some approval letter, and then you can go on the same day or within 24 hours to like a hairstylist or into a store.
Wow. That's very interesting. I mean, that's actually, it's quite sensible. It makes a lot of sense. Are people okay with that?
Yes, there are quite of queues in front of the test centers, especially before Easter, when people visited relatives and family members and friends. And also now you can purchase in Germany more and more these self-test tools. Kids, and also in school, like parents or the teachers should test the children. So it's just ongoing. It's kind of rolling out at the moment, and there will be probably also a new change in law that kind of companies are forced to test their employees. So
very interesting.
At some point, need to test our employees, and we are enforced by law. And this is also.
What if someone says no?
Good point. Nobody knows.
That is so interesting on so many levels. But I think, so tell me, first of all, during this lockdown, were the schools still open? You mentioned before we started talking, the schools are now closed.
Just in North Rhine-Westphalia, where I'm located, schools are now closed this week because they should start or started today after Easter break.
Yeah.
And in other counties, they are open. So in Berlin, for example, people go to school, but not in North Rhine-Westphalia.
And has that been the case since this lockdown began, or has this just come in now?
No, they reopened again in what was it, February or March?
Okay. Yeah.
Now it's closed again, so it's, I don't know, always up and down and changing from a day to day.
Very frustrating for you, I have to say. It's
yeah, there are kind of rumors or jokes. So 3 more lockdown and Christmas is around. So
that's not even funny. That's just too scary for words. But listen, so what about mobility? Can people come into Germany?
Yes, or actually, like all European countries, if you have an important reason, you are allowed to enter. If you're not from these high-risk countries like South Africa, for example, or Brazil.
Sure.
But you need a valid reason, which needs to be proved for business persons, but not as a private person. And actually, from immigration perspective, the volume increased. For us, increased really high since Christmas last year. So now more and more companies are coming and want to get their people on board to Germany.
Excellent.
It's quite good, but on the other side also frustrating because, you know, they waited so long for half a year. Now there's a pressure that people come tomorrow to Germany. But with all the bureaucracy, the consulates are closed, the authorities are not working on 100%. You need to make a lot of extra efforts to get them to the country.
So the same job is taking twice as long and twice as much administration.
But we don't charge twice as much.
For sure. And again, I mean, members all over the place are saying that, you know, obviously there are huge increases in the amount of work that's involved for the same money, and that can't go on for too long. So, I mean, that's good news, but as you say, frustrating because you can't access consulates and...
Yeah, that's tricky, but we are optimistic. So things are improving. Also from a relocation side, you know, more and more people get to Germany or going abroad to other countries. So business is back on normal for this side, and also from visa business or posted worker. And visa, for example, there was a huge change last week. Like Russia opened its borders again. So
right, yes, I read that.
Yeah. So for us, Russia is one of the top countries for visa services, which is quite good. And posted worker, it's slightly increasing, like on a week by week basis, but it's still not reached the volume as like before COVID.
Right. Yeah. But still, that's good to see that, you know, there's a steady increase. I'm pleased to hear that.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I wanted to ask was, I mean, there's been quite a lot of interesting developments. Are you allowed to travel out of Germany, or is that state by state?
You are allowed to travel out of Germany. Just when you need to come back, you need to show like a negative COVID test, and you might need to go into quarantine. And this also differs from a state by state case. So, and on the destination country, of course.
Of course. Okay. Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I was, one of my friends in Germany on Facebook that posted that they were in Fuerteventura for Easter. And so coming back, can you quarantine at home?
Yes.
Yes.
And depending on where you come back, because if you come back from a high-risk country with a lot of these virus mutations, you need to go into quarantine for 14 days. You cannot have a negative COVID test and then get out. That's not possible anymore. And this is a huge problem for industry, because if German engineering companies send out their people and they come back, then they need to stay 14 days into quarantine. And then they can only go back to the next destination country. So they lose a lot of time.
The impacts of all of this are just extraordinary. I mean, I know that that's happening here in the UK now, but I mean, it's just so different. I was talking to people, you know, friends in the US over the Easter vacation were skiing in Vermont, whereas, you know, we cannot leave our homes, you know, except to go to the grocery store.
No, here a lot of people, they went, for example, to Switzerland to go skiing, and or even on Spain, like Mallorca, the island was very famous.
Very busy, Mallorca. Yes, it was. It's true.
Yeah, but Germans were not allowed to travel within Germany, but you can go to Mallorca, for example.
Mind-blowing, isn't it? It's just extraordinary. It is just extraordinary. So, I mean, at least so from the point of view of how people are feeling, does there seem to be, I mean, you said jokingly, you know, this 3 more lockdowns, are people tired?
Yes, definitely. They are tired. You see more and more people are kind of also aggressive because of all this up and downs, this additional work you have, especially if you have like children with homeschooling, etc. And the trust in the government is not there anymore. Like they screwed it up. Nobody knows what they are doing and why they are doing it. I'm not sure if you noticed it before Easter. They said there will be like a kind of lockdown during Easter. And then the next day they said, no, we were wrong. We leave everything as it is.
Yeah, I did read that. And was that nationwide again? That was a federal decision.
Of course, this is not what you expect from a government, of course, like Angela Merkel, she excused, but come on, it's in this position, you cannot do such a mistake. And, everybody was thinking, what's going on? Should I now go to work or do I have an additional holiday? And I talked to other people from the moving industry, you know, they rescheduled everything. And then at noon, the government took it back. So they rescheduled everything again as it was. Just crazy.
It's uncertainty has been throughout the whole of this crisis, there's been so much uncertainty about what we can do as individuals, when this is going to end, what dates. So to add to that, this far down the line is I can imagine very frustrating.
Yeah, it's uncertainty, but more or less there's no plan the government has. That's, I think, what people annoys them, because we have the impression, you know, if you're leading a company, you cannot act like this. You need to make a plan with milestones, different levels, and communicate them. And this is not the case for all these COVID restrictions.
It's so difficult, isn't it? Because again, it's like, you know as well, you know, talking to colleagues in the US over the summer last year, and with the election being such a dominant part of life, is that the same sort of thing in Germany? With the election coming up, politicians are not keen to be disruptive or...
Yeah, they are very cautious and careful, of course.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I heard from you in the UK that pubs are opening now, so this is awesome.
Yeah. Well, we were saying before, I mean, yes, today pubs and shops reopen. Pubs, you can only sit outside. And so a lot of them are not reopening until they can have people inside, because the weather is very cold. So this time last year, I don't know if it was the same for you in Germany, right? Last spring was amazing. Yeah. It was so warm, but this year not. So yeah, I mean, it's, and from that point of view again, what about hospitality venues in Germany? Is everything still closed?
Still closed till kind of October.
Until October?
From October.
Oh, sorry, from October, yeah. Phew, I was going to say.
Who knows?
Who knows? And they're not giving you any signs as to when things will reopen?
No. You must say it's open for business purposes. So if I would go to our Berlin office, because I need to, I will find a place. But most hotels shut down. They say it doesn't make sense to rent 10 out of 100 rooms.
Exactly. Yeah, no, true. Oh my goodness. Well, I hope that there is some more certainty, and at least, you know, do you have any idea when the schools go back?
I hope personally next week, because they will now deliver the self-test to the schools.
Great.
So they can open then next week. And from travel restrictions, you know, Germany is now speeding up with the vaccination.
Great. How is that going?
Yeah, finally, we are vaccinating more and more people each day, and hopefully this will help to speed up the process. And now with the warmer weather coming, that this will also help. But there are a lot of rumors. Actually, today it was planned to make the new decisions because until Sunday, this lockdown is still kind of being in place.
Mhm.
But now they canceled it, and as mentioned earlier, they want to put the new law in place so government can decide what to do. So nobody knows what's going on next week. The politicians are talking about another hard lockdown. I don't know what's happening.
It's just so weird. I mean, certainly I mean, here the vaccine program has gone very well, but they're not releasing us from the lockdowns in very small stages because they're very afraid that, you know, it will come back too quickly.
For our industry, it's useless if Germany is vaccinated. Like people need to travel, like
Exactly.
everybody needs to be vaccinated.
Exactly. I mean, here they had said from the beginning, June 21st, life will get back to normal. They've already told us last week, you will not be going on a foreign holiday this year.
Oh, okay.
But then they changed their mind.
Yeah, we are waiting until kind of, I call it a holiday for vaccination programs will start. That,
Yeah.
for example, Russia or Dubai is offering, hey, come to us for holiday and you get vaccinated on top of it. I think this will start very soon.
Yeah, I heard that actually from a friend living in Malaysia who wanted to get back to the US and was able to fly through Dubai, be vaccinated, and then go on. But,
yeah, you see, this will start or has already started. So you pay a lot of money and get vaccinated. And I think you have the same if you're vaccinated, you get a lot of easier access to places.
well, they're talking about it. They haven't brought it in yet. But they're saying, yes, vaccine passports for nightclubs, theatres, events, football. Yeah.
I think this is the only solution in the long run, because otherwise you cannot open. But of course, you need to wait until like a certain amount is vaccinated.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's unfair.
Exactly. That's absolutely true. Gosh, well, look, I would love to catch up with you again. We're in April. Let's catch up in the summer, say July.
Yeah.
See what's changed by then. I mean, I really, I'm so bored.
Actually, I hope to tell you like now in April, hey, we are back on track and everybody's back in work. But
yeah,
it's not the case.
What can we do? But listen, it's great to catch up with you. Thank you for your insights. It's good to hear what's going on and just keep in touch with the rest of the world. So we'll catch up in July, and in the meantime, you stay well and stay safe. And I hope the kids get back to school.
Me too.
See you soon. Thanks so much, Tobias. Bye.
Bye.